hate saying versus, man. It always
You should have banned his name.
it just
I don't
banned
know
it
why
all
you haven't
together.
made them take it.
Dude, as
You
soon
can't
as
play unless you change your name.
as soon
That's
as
all
I
it
see
means,
Wong's
right?
smiling face, man, I can't say no to that guy. He could ask me whatever he wants, and he just gives me that goofy smile, and I'm like, yeah, what's up? What's up? Fine, man. But yeah, it's Tempo Storm going up against Vellido versus Jeff, so it's
Wait,
the
did you just
number.
call it a goofy smile?
You know, Goofy doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
That
It
does
was
not
my
give
favorite
respect to the
character in
Wong.
Disney. I
Respect the Wong.
I apologize.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for real, Wong is actually a very talented player. You know, he's played that Discipline Priest in the past in the Turbo Cleave with Vanguards and Smexen, and he also has that Holy Paladin on hands, and we've even seen Sneaky Wong the Resto Shaman. So he is a super nice asset to have on your roster. But I mean, Vellido versus Jeff, they're going up against the heavyweights of the whole tournament. I mean, these guys are probably the favorites for the whole thing. Tempo Storm, you know, I got to talk to them a little bit, and they sound so confident going into this tournament with their new roster. Go Reki and Chanimal's now joining them with Peekaboo and Jamili, and the amount of compositions that these guys can run at the highest level is like something completely new that we've never seen before in the competitive scene.
Yeah, having even just having Goreki on your team immediately, it's like adding 5 players to your roster because he has so many different classes he can play. Of course, we've seen Jamili multi-classing a lot recently. Peekaboo known for being able to switch between a few classes himself. So I really, really like that Tempo Storm has sort of taken that, you know, we're going to multi-class as much as possible. We're going to have as many comps available to us as possible, and really sort of taking that to the next step in order to give themselves an advantage, because it makes a lot of these games so much more interesting.
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree. And so let's take a quick look at some of the things that these guys say. We're going to start off with the interview I had with the one, the only, it is Vincent Wong.
So I'm Vincent Wong, and I play for Vellido versus Jeff. So, you know, the main star of our team, this guy, right? This is Vellido right here. And, you know, this guy, Jeff. So that's Vellido, and that's Jeff. And, you know, they have such a strong passion and love for each other. You know, they're really, really close and connected with each other. So, but, you know, they're on different teams, so all of the time it's just Vellido versus Jeff. But, you know, I know these two, deep down, there's not much of a rivalry. It's all love. Oh, we're so successful. I don't know. Vellido wants to play every day, and that's, you know, it's just practice. You know, it's just practice. You know, even though he didn't want to be here in the interview right now, he's still here on my desk. Like, he never leaves my desk. He just kind of sits here on my desk. The team that I'm most interested in is definitely Vellido versus Jeff. And, you know, Jeff, yeah, not my team name, but, you know, Jeff from Donut. I really want to see these two in a 1v1 DK duel. What would Trill say? Huh, that's a good question. Trill, what would you say? Give me an idea.
Well, I'd say the team we're most afraid of was Temple Storm, for one. And we'd like to knock out Donut because of Vellido versus Jeff, so.
I'm going to throw in some stuff there for you. Okay? I think the two teams that, you know, Trill would definitely like to beat is this guy. You know who this is? Mr. Shaman. And the other team that Trill really wants to fight is this guy. And this is Rub Cub. So, when Vellido gets into the arena match, you know what? Vellido chasing a Pally doesn't make too much sense. Let's make him chase Absurd instead. When Vellido walks into the arena and see Absurd, he's just gonna First Strike! First Strike! Ah! And that's gonna happen, you know? That's what I think. That's what Vellido would say. But, you know, I love Absurd, so, yeah. Jeff, in our very first series versus Tempo Storm, who do you think's gonna win? Well, you know what? I think Tempo Storm is probably gonna win, but I really hope Vellido wins because I love Vellido. He's my best friend. Does that answer your question?
Seriously.
Oh, right. I'm gonna wait for them to catch up a little bit, but before. Oh my gosh, that guy is hilarious. I love me a Vincent Wong. He's just so happy all the time and so goofy. But that was
I'm in
what.
tears. I'm actually crying.
That was an interview.
Like some of the most important things he said, he just like decided to start cleaning his floor. Like during the whole interview, like, I was like interviewing him, and he wouldn't give me a straight answer on anything. And then like the few times that he said something serious, he was like down here, you know, like cleaning the floor. And I'm like, I have to add that somehow, so I just threw in the subtitles. But man, I'm a pretty big fan of that guy. He is so funny. But
That was really good.
That was funny. And we're gonna jump into the next interview, guys, which of course is with the one, the only, it's Jamili.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm
Oh, God.
Tempo Storm. Team's really successful because I feel that we have the best players in the game, and we all can play multiple classes and different comps as well. Been playing with pretty much all my teammates since the beginning of MOP, aside from Gorecki, who I just started playing with in WOD. Recently, we picked up Chanimal and Gorecki. They're really valuable to the team because Chanimal, being the best Warlock in the game, Gorecki right now is probably the most valuable player in the game. He can play a lot of classes at a really high level, so it was good to get him on our team. I don't think our team has many weaknesses aside from Pika playing his ults. That's pretty much it. I'm very confident going into every tournament with this team because I feel we have the best players in the game and the best compositions available. I'm not really concerned about any team. I'm pretty confident we'll crush everyone. I would like to knock out Method for a few reasons. Chuck and Kevin say stupid things sometimes and they annoy me. I also want to knock out Venruki. He's a good mage, but talks a lot of trash about me all the time, so... First series against Vellido versus Jeff. We'll go 3-0 in our favor. I'm looking forward to wiping that goofy smile off Wong's face once and for all.
Oh, big words coming out from Jamili there. Absolutely. I'm gonna let them catch up a little bit on that, but yeah, that's kind of how Jamili feels going into this next series. He wants to wipe that smile off of Wong's face, and is he going to be able to do just that? So Tempo Storm with Jamili, you know, they sound so confident about this tournament. They really do. Their new roster is just give them so much confidence. But is it? A lot of people have their number in the tournament. We, you know, we interviewed quite a few of these teams, and you know, all of them said that Tempo Storm is definitely going to be one of the hardest teams to face, but they would absolutely love to get them out of the way early on. So. We're going to be jumping into this series here very soon. It's Tempo Storm versus Vellido versus Jeff, and that's all going to be happening in the first series of the day. It's going to be a best of 5 between these two teams, and we're going to be jumping into the Grand Arena, which of course will be that blind pick here very shortly. As soon as these teams ready up, I'm going to give the admin the green light to go ahead and queue up, and we'll be going into the... And, you know, I was listening to Jamili talk about like his team and like if he has any fear of any other team, and he always says that he has no fear. I feel like they have an answer to literally every team in this tournament. Yeah,
Jamili is. You would never say he's not confident. That would be an incredibly wrong thing to say about Jamili. He has more confidence than he knows what to do with, and I mean that's a good thing to have in a tournament. Being able to go into it, you know, you got your head up, you're ready to go in, you're ready to fight, you're saying, yeah, no, we can totally take these guys. As long as he doesn't, you know, step across that line into cocky, which I think I'm told that there's occurrences of that as well. But yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think Tempo Storm has the ability to take this series, if for no other reason than they have the comp advantage available to them because they have so many different comps they can actually choose. I know Windwalker DK is really, really strong right now, but there are a few different ways that you can sort of try to poke into it, and a lot of times it kind of just depends on which Windwalker DK you're running into. So having that extra flexibility on their team actually gives them quite a bit of an advantage for this because they can say, okay, yeah, these guys are having trouble with RMD, so we'll try that and we'll see how that goes as an example. I don't know, just where all they can really go off the top of my head. They have so many different comps available to them, but
this is actually really surprising to me that they're running RMD. To me, if I were to say something, I feel like Tempo Storm is just showing how confident they really are right now. Like, they have that Holy Pally God composition available to them. Peekaboo on that Shadow Priest. Gorecki knows how to play a Paladin at the highest level, and we've seen that comp specifically, you know, take out the Windwalker DK time and time again in these tournaments. But they're going for the RMD, even though they kind of knew Vellido versus Jeff, this is their main comp. And so, I don't know, is this going to work out for him? Or is this going to be the cockiness instead of the confidence that you were talking about? They very well could be punished here because of this RMD blind pick. But here we go, the gates have opened.
Yeah, they have to have a strategy for this to pick RMD. I would have imagined the Holy Paladin God comp coming out from game number 1. Maybe they're trying to make a statement. Tempo Storm moving in. They get the stab over on Chill TKO. Deep freeze onto Vincent Wong. Into the polymorph. Triple CC out from Tempo Storm. Trying to build up a lot of pressure on Vellido here. He's forced to use his anti-magic shell to reduce some of Jamili's damage. Jamili still continuing that polymorph chain. Can Gorecki chain into a clone? No, he cannot. Vellido stole the clone and threw it right back in his face. But now we see the Shadow Dance out from Peekaboo. Still trying to build some momentum, but really not finding it just yet. Now swapping to Trill TKO. Finding a lot of damage onto him, down to 45%. Vincent Wong forced execution sense, picking him right back up pretty quickly though. Gorecki caught into the strangulate silence. Jamili forced a block, and Vellido versus Jeff are looking very good early on in game 1.
Yeah, I almost felt like Jamili might have been able to hang onto that block just a little bit longer, but he definitely did not want to risk that burst potential coming out from Vellido. Of course, Vellido did get caught into a Cyclone there for just a second. Now Trill getting caught in that Cyclone as well. They're doing actually a pretty good job of just sort of shutting down the pressure for the moment, which is really the advantage of that Windwalker DK composition, is the constant pressure. However, now Jamili caught into that Fist of Fury. He's going to go ahead and blink out of there, but Trill is right back on top of him yet again, and here is that constant pressure I was just talking about. Gorecki caught into that full polymorph. Peekaboo, a hard swap over onto him, has to evasion right away. That was a ton of damage in a hurry over onto Peekaboo. Now the Cloak of Shadows coming out as well. Gorecki caught into that Fist of Justice. He's holding onto his trinket as long as he possibly can. And there now is the Heart of the Wild coming out for a little bit of extra healing coming out as Peekaboo goes into that Shadow Dance, trying to turn this back around, but Tempo Storm just narrowly getting away with saving a lot of cooldowns through that offensive pressure.
Oh, but Gorecki gets a nice clone on the Touch of Karma from Trill TKO. Continuing the CC chain onto Wong. He's forced to bop himself out of that blind. Or Mastery out of the Frost Jaw. A lot of cooldowns used from Vincent Wong. He needs to keep Trill TKO alive with this. The Smoke Bomb gets dropped by Peekaboo. Vincent Wong into the 1 second sheet, finally breaking out of that crowd control chain. Should be able to get some heals over onto Trill TKO. They need to do with this kidney shot. Vincent Wong's going to remove it with that Blessing of Protection. Trill TKO still on the run. A little bit a desperate situation here. Shadow Dance is coming up in about 19 seconds. Vellido versus Jeff. They need to make something happen soon. Peekaboo with no trinket is very vulnerable here moving forward. Let's see if Vellido can get a nice steal on something. We see the Paralyze starting the chain onto Gorecki, but the Death from Above is coming out from Peekaboo. Both teams initiating at the same time. Jamili looking for his sheep, not able to get it, and he's going down to half HP, getting gripped back by Vellido. But he lands the sheep. Oh man, he got just in line of sight to land that full sheep. Now Peekaboo can build up a lot of pressure with the Shadow Dance over onto Trill TKO. Will Vincent Wong be forced to bubble here? Trill TKO is dipping dangerously low. Defensive Paralyze onto Peekaboo. Strangulate onto Gorecki. Cross CC out from Vellido versus Jeff. A stolen polymorph out from Vellido. Can they build any pressure with this is the question. Pillar of Frost is up from Vellido as well. The Fist of Fury are pumping out. Jamili is forced to trinket. He's desperately trying to run away here, still with only 1 block remaining. Gorecki forced to Iron Bark onto Jamili to reduce this incoming damage. Now Triple CC out from Tempo Storm. Vincent Wong sees it coming. He's going to bubble, remove the crowd control, and continue healing Trill TKO, but now he's running on fumes in terms of cooldowns.
Yeah, he's just got his trinket left, and if they can pull that out of him, Trill's going to be in a lot of trouble because he has his Karma available once again, but that's it. Now Peekaboo, though, caught into that leg sweep, having to use the Cloak of Shadows, just trying to limit as much as he can. He's going to move back out of there, get some healing, get caught back up, and they're just going to swap over onto Jamili. They do have the Deep Freeze now coming out onto Vincent Wong. Do they have the follow-up CC for it? Trill could be in some trouble here. There's the full polymorph. Trill down to 30% health. He's going to Karma that right away. Do they have the Cyclone to pull it off? Doesn't look like they're actually going for it at the moment. Gorecki now caught into this Paralyze. That was a nice move by Trill to get that Paralyze over onto Gorecki so he couldn't Cyclone it off. Vincent Wong having to now use his wings basically as soon as they came off of cooldown. Trill in trouble. Vincent into the full blind. Ooh, he trinketed out of that. He did still have his trinket available. I missed that. But now Trill caught into that kidney shot. Trill is just in so much trouble right now. He's going to go ahead and pour it out of there. Vincent Wong still caught in that full polymorph, though. Is he going to be able to get over in time? Oh! The flying serpent kick. Oh, just barely not enough.
Oh, wow, man. I thought he was going to live there for a second, man. I was holding my breath for a hot minute there, but Tempo Storm, you know, even running that RMD, they're showing their level of play, and they're going to take game number 1 here on the Grand Arena. A real quick, game, but, you know, you saw that level of play, specifically coming out from Gorecki as well, always ready to clone up those Touch of Karmas, and, but there you have it. There were some moments there where, you know, this Windwalker DK absolutely got so much pressure out, you know, as soon as, without any CC, just connecting onto onto Jamili, they were forcing blocks and whatnot with just like short change, like a paralysis or something, you know. And there you have it. Trill doing a great job, you know, trying to line of sight, trying to survive as best he can, but he can't run away from that death from above from Peekaboo, and he is going to go down here against Tempo Storm. Game number 1. We're going to be jumping into game number 2 here, and that means that Vellido versus Jeff is going to have the map choice as well as the composition advantage, if they can utilize it.
No, Vellido versus Jeff had like a very straightforward strategy. Like, try and steal CC, try and get Gorecki into good chains with Paralyzed, Fist of Justice, Strangulate, Stolen Clones, Stolen Polymorphs. I think they used the strategy very well, but I'm wondering if it's actually the winning strategy.
Yeah.
Usually we see the Windwalker DKs against RMD just go right after the Druid a lot of the time, and you could still break up CC. You can still use Grips to stop polys, you can use your Paralyzed to stop polys and stuff from the Windwalker Monk and the DK. So I'm wondering if the CC strategy from Vellido's team is actually the better one, or if they should pressure Gorecki on the Arrestor Druid instead, because it seemed very hard to build pressure. Despite like blowing through Peekaboo's Trinket, it seemed like they were going after Jamili after getting through those cooldowns, so their split pressure, I think they just ran out of damage almost, and Gorecki was able to easily deal with it with his Iron Barks throughout the game, and I'm just wondering if they could play a little bit more recklessly against it. I kind of want to see them try that. If they end up fighting this composition, Tempo Storm could simply say, you know what, you think we're going to play RMD? No, we're not. We're going to play something different.
Yeah.
Mind game you. You're not prepared for it. And then try and win that way. So maybe they won't even get a second chance.
You know, speaking of mind games, I was talking to a lot of these teams earlier, and that was like the biggest thing that they thought that they had to do against Tempo Storm. They're like, they have all these compositions available to them. We got to mind game them. That's the only way. Whoa, that's very interesting, actually. They're going to go ahead and choose the map Blades Edge Arena, and I was talking to Jamili. Jamili actually feels like this map is like Tempo Storm's home turf. So here we go. We're going to be jumping into Blades Edge Arena here in a hot minute. I'll see you guys in a sec. All right, welcome to Nagrand Arena, Blades Edge Arena, and it looks like both these teams are sticking with the same comps.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested about this choice from Vellido versus Jeff to go on to Blade's Edge. My gut feeling is that they recognize Trill is probably going to be the kill target, and he can use that Transcendence to sort of port around this map a little bit more. But we'll have to see how well that works out for them here, as the game is just about to start. Peekaboo narrowly missing that Death and Decay, almost got pulled into combat there and pulled out of stealth, but now looks like he's moving in here, going in for a sap. No, he's just going to go ahead and cheap shot right onto Trill. They do have the Polymorph. They did manage to land a Polymorph onto Vincent Wong. And now Trill into that Cyclone as well, as Vellido had the AMS up, so they're really not able to get much going with this opener.
Vincent Wong actually going to bop himself out of that blind almost immediately. He doesn't want to fall behind. He wants to stay offensive here. Jamili getting grip back, tons of damage following it up. Forced to block down at 15% with just a Fist of Justice. If they can do that a couple more times, Vellido could easily take this game. Peekaboo already down to half HP. Gorecki forced to pop his Heart of the Wild, but now we see Tempo Storm's attack, popping that Shadow Dance, making a swap over to Vincent Wong, trying to punish him for that early Blessing of Protection. He is unable to bubble for 10 more seconds, and Saved by the Light will proc. He's forced to pop that Ore Mastery. He needs to get some hard casts off, but he's going to get cloned up by Gorecki. This should allow Tempo Storm to swing some momentum over onto a different target. Chill TKO getting swapped over to down to 28%. A lot of damage following up. He's forced a Touch of Karma, and smartly put, he's going to put it on Jamili. I think he's trying to bait a second block out of him. Jamili's not falling for the bait, though, holding onto that block. Iron Bark going to be used instead, but that Iron Bark not even enough. Forced to block down at 11%. Peekaboo still going after Wong, but in the meantime, Jamili is forced to use his final Ice Block. There's no Iron Bark. Gorecki's running out of cooldowns. Tempo Storm are looking like they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, both these teams are just going like crazy on each other. Vincent Wong in a very comfortable position, having gotten through that brief period where he was in trouble due to forbearance. Trill, though, could be in taking a lot of trouble here. He does have that Garrote on him, silencing him for just a second, not able to use his self-heal. I forget the name of it. Expel Harm, there we go. Jamili now just spell stealing as much as possible, and has actually managed to pull off a few important buffs there. But it looks like he's still actually quite a bit in some trouble here. The Death Grip comes out. He's going to have to blink out of that and trying to get over here to Gorecki. Ooh, and he actually, Trill broke his own Paralyze there with with the chi explosions. Apparently, I cannot remember the names of abilities today. I apologize for that. Gorecki caught into a full stun there for just a second, into the Strangulate as well. Vincent Wong, though, into that, Frostjaw. Sure, we'll call it Frostjaw, probably. That's probably the name of it. I am not doing well at the names today. Jamili, though, with some trouble. He's got the Iron Bark active. No blocks remaining. This could be really, really bad here. If they can get any CC over onto Gorecki, he could be in some trouble. There's a leg sweep onto Jamili. Peekaboo now getting kind of low as well. Vincent Wong, though, into that full blind. He's going to bop that off of him, immediately use his Avenging Wrath to be able to keep his teammates alive. And now Vellido versus Jeff is turning it back around onto Peekaboo, who is forced to run away.
Yeah, Peekaboo was forced to trinket in that exchange, which means he won't be able to break out of a stun if they swap to him. Now the entire team has no trinkets, but Tempo Storm are pulling the trigger. Triple CC out from Tempo Storm. Vellido into the clone, cloned on his trinket. Vincent Wong caught in the polymorph. Trill TKO taking a lot of damage. Vincent Wong playing it patiently, seeing that touch of karma onto Peekaboo. He knows that Trill will survive. Now Trill trying to build some pressure. They're going to grip Jamili in. Actually, Trill on the run, playing it a little bit more cautiously than I would have expected in this situation. They've got a huge advantage right now in terms of having no trinkets on Tempo Storm. They need to make something happen with this. Vincent Wong still has his bubble. He can use that to break CC. He might want to do it here soon. Frostjaw landed. Shadow Dance out from Peekaboo, trying to build some momentum on Trill. There's the triple cross CC out from Tempo Storm. Trill's completely alone. Vincent Wong's going to bubble. The bubble's not enough.
Ooh.
Tempo Storm are just going to crush him outright with damage, and they're going to take game number 2. And despite that looking like it was in favor of Vellido, I'm wondering if they just didn't respond in time. I mean, he bubbled fairly high. He just didn't get a chance to get any casts off. I think it must have been crit like at the same time by Jamili and Peekaboo. And that's kind of the synergy that Jamili and Peekaboo have built throughout the years of playing together. So you can get caught off guard by the amount of damage they can do. But Tempo Storm was able to turn that game around and take it in their favor. Now 1 match away from advancing.
Just 1 match away. That's right. This is a best of 5. Now Vellido versus Jeff, they have to get 3 games in a row if they want to take out Tempo Storm here in the first series of the tournament. But we're going to be going into the next game very shortly. This was actually Vellido versus Jeff's map choice, and you definitely could see how he was utilized. He didn't really utilize that Z-axis port actually as much as I thought he was going to, but they did get really efficient trades. I mean, just that Hodge into like the stacks being used from Trill and just forcing those blocks. They did it consistently, and Jamili was without a block there. But just takes 1 opener for RMD to find that weakness and to take you out without that touch karma available to him, and that's exactly what they did. So we're going to be getting into the 3rd game here of this best of 5 series, and as is Windwalker DK, I think that they should probably go for what you were saying earlier, Supa, like maybe an all-in SCV strat where they bring it to like Ruins of Lordaeron or something.
Build a barracks. Train some Marines.
Just Marines.
I mean, Vincent Wong is playing really patient with his cooldowns, which is smart because as soon as he's in the winning position like they were, I almost would have rather him just instantly bubble out of the sheep and just run with Trill and go in, because now they've forced everything. So Vincent Wong can be greedy, hold on to his defensive cooldowns, then use them offensively. That's when Windwalker DK really shines. That's when they're just standing right on top of you, bopping themselves out of little stuns just to make sure they can get as much damage as possible. And that's where the advantages of the comp are. So I'm wondering if Vincent Wong just underestimated the amount of damage in that one moment. Because I think that if they had just gone in all the way, no trinkets, 1 paralyzed, 1 Hodge and Gorecki, anyone could have died. So they were just a few seconds away from victory. And I think if they just played a little bit more aggressively, knowing that, they could have taken that match.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of feel like they just, like you said, were just completely caught off guard. Like it was just one of those moments of, okay, yeah, now they're gonna pull back, they're gonna set up another CC, and they're gonna go in for the kill. And then wait, no, actually, Trill's just dead now. So yeah, very very surprising couple of games, I have to say. Like I was expecting this to be more of a battle for Tempo Storm because Windwalker DK is just so strong right now. But they are doing a phenomenal job of dealing with that Windwalker DK pressure.
Yeah, they really are. They're really controlling the game and showing how confident they are. I mean, this is Peekaboo on his main, Jamili on his main, and Gorecki. Okay, that's kind of like a myth and a legend to me. Like, what is Gorecki's actual main? Does anyone know?
Hunter and Mop.
Yeah, that's what I thought of him. I thought he was a hunter my whole time, and then I just saw him on a warlock, and I saw him on this, and I saw him on that. I'm like, well, okay then, Gorecki. I have no idea what it is that you main, but he's been doing phenomenal on the Resto Druid, and this RMD is looking so super scary for this Windwalker DK to deal with. But here we go. It's potentially match point, and Vellido versus Jeff has some work to do.
I'm curious to see how Vellido versus Jeff are going to play this. It's their last chance. Do they keep to the same strategy? Are they going to try something new? Tempo Storm going into stealth, completely invisible to Vellido's team at the moment here. Looking to get that triple CC. Vellido popping that Death and Decay to try and get someone out of stealth. Doesn't find it. Peekaboo moving in. Sap onto Trill. Cheap shot onto Vellido. Gorecki's going to want to chain a Cyclone off of one of these stuns. Doesn't look like he's able to get it just yet. Trill will be able to line of sight and stay out of crowd control. He'll be able to support Vellido. They're trying to build some pressure on Jamili, trying to interrupt any more polymorphs. They don't actually manage to get it, though. Strangulate onto Gorecki. Grip onto Jamili into the leg sweep. He's forced to trinket and blink away. He's going to reduce a lot of incoming damage. Now Peekaboo dropping his smoke bomb very early on. Trill TKO is just going to easily portal out. Throw the Fist of Fury back into Peekaboo's face, already getting him down to 30% and forcing Peekaboo to run. And now the full blind over onto Vincent Wong. He's just going to bop it again. I wonder if Tempo Storm are going to look to exploit it like they did in the last game. Vincent Wong actually getting locked out by Jamili on his casted heal. Vellido dipping dangerously low, forced to use that Draenei Racial. Now the kidney shot over onto Vincent Wong. Peekaboo doing an excellent job to continue this CC chain. Jamili landing the full polymorph. Vincent Wong is forced to trinket and Aura Master. He needs to get some cast. Gorecki's going to get gripped into that Fist of Justice. However, he did pre-shapeshift into Bear Form, so he's going to take a significantly less amount of damage. Excellent pre-shift from Gorecki. He's going to survive that swap, only trading his skin.
Yeah, just the bark skin coming out of Gorecki there. Very nicely played, like you said. Now the cheap shot onto Trill. He does have the execution sentence coming onto him, which should help him keep alive, and he's actually going to port over here behind these boxes and start healing back up. Vellido out in the open here. We should feel pretty confident in that. There's nothing to worry about too much. He's actually going to go ahead and use his Pillar of Frost and start trying to put some pressure going, but he's just being kited so hard by Tempo Storm right now. He's just not able to connect the way he wants to. Now with Trill getting that Fist of Fury off, Jamili's stuck for just a second, but Gorecki immediately going to go ahead and drop the Iron Bark. Peekaboo taking a lot of damage in the middle of his Shadow Dance here. He's going to go ahead and port over there, and Trill actually might be in some trouble here, dropping down super low. Vincent Wong's still caught into that polymorph. He's going to sit through the whole thing, but that does mean that Trill is forced to Karma.
Yeah, and I think he was actually trying to bait Jamili into blocking. Again, Jamili not going to fall for any baits. We see a death from above from Peekaboo, not really accomplishing too much. Nobody was caught into a stun. Now with that death from above on cooldown, maybe Vellido is going to make a move here. Paralyze over onto Gorecki. Fist of Fury over onto Jamili. They're looking to try and get him to block. Full Fist of Justice on Gorecki now to chain the CC. Jamili on the run, gets gripped back. Is he going to be able to escape? He blinks away. Peekaboo trying to slow down these melee. Trill missteps there and actually cheat torpedoes off the side. And now he's going to get kidney shot way in the back line, getting stunned up. He's forced to paralyze Peekaboo to stop the offensive there. Now trying to get back onto Jamili with that Strangulate onto Gorecki, but all these Strangulates are supposed to force major cooldowns, and they're really getting nothing. Now Trill TKO under fire, has to go for that almost defensive leg sweep, but Peekaboo and Jamili are both going to trinket out. They can smell blood in the water. Vincent Wong still getting chained into those Cyclones. Finally leaving the CC, throwing it back into Gorecki's face with that Fist of Justice. Jamili getting gripped in the Fist of Fury. That block is going to be forced out almost immediately there by Jamili. Now with one more block remaining, is Vellido going to continue this chase onto Jamili, or are they going to switch targets?
I really like that block from Jamili. It's just very good game sense to recognize, you know what, I've got 2 blocks, I'll just go ahead and use one here. It's not the end of the world to be down on just 1 block, and that way he saved himself a whole lot of damage and a whole lot of panic from Gorecki. Gorecki still has pretty much everything available, only the Heart of the Wild is still on the cooldown, whereas the team of Vellido versus Jeff is running out of things by the second. Vincent Wong does have his Trinket back available, and he does have his Wings and Bubble as well, so they're going to have to try and work through those. Tempo Storm is if they're going to make anything happen now. Jamili caught out in the open here, taking quite a fair amount of damage, actually dipping super low. Gorecki caught in that Strangulate. That's going to be another ice block out of Jamili. He immediately cancels it, though, trying to get the kill onto Trill right now. Vincent Wong going to bubble and just barely keeping Trill alive, but can he keep it up much longer? The smoke bot comes out from Peekaboo. Vincent Wong moves into that right away, and he does have his Avenging Wrath active, or did for a moment there. Trill, though, forced to port away, running for his life, as Vincent Wong does still have his Trinket available, but he's getting caught into this polymorph, and he's so far away right now. Nice Chi Torpedo there, moving out, making sure that Vincent Wong can get a couple of clutch heals onto him, but now the blind comes out. Is he going to Trinket it? He does Trinket it, immediately put into the kidney shot, though. Trill is in so much trouble right now. Vincent Wong is going to bop himself to try and get these heals out, but nice offensive Cyclone out of Trill, keeping him stuck at low health. And Vincent Wong trying to peek out here and get a couple of heals off, and there's a nice port from Trill. Vincent Wong caught in the bash. Trill is still not out of the woods just yet. There is a full Fist of Justice onto Gorecki, trying to slow down Tempo Storm just a little bit here, but Vellido versus Jeff is very much on the back foot right now. As that full kidney shot comes out onto Trill, this could just be it right here. If they can get another thing onto Vincent Wong, and they do, and down goes Trill.
Yeah, Tempo Storm just walked all over them. Like the last 2 minutes of that game, Vellido's team could not do anything. Like that looked so painful for Wong, and he ended up having to bop himself because of the kidney shot on himself out of the blind, and it was unfortunate for him. He had to burn through like all of his trinkets within 20 seconds, and Tempo Storm really like put the gas pedal down and ran them over. in those last 2 minutes. I've never seen more one-sided, like in a match towards the end there. Like just everything was going perfect for Tempo Storm. They were landing everything they needed to get and preventing everything. And I don't know, that looked pretty grim. That looked pretty grim.
I'm gonna call MVP on that gouge out of Peekaboo right at the end on Vincent Wong as well. Like just the last second, and you're like, okay, like if you're Vincent Wong at that point, you got to kind of be thinking to yourself, okay, they've done everything they could possibly do at this point. There's no way that they can CC me. I'm gonna get this cast off, and then Peekaboo's just like, nah, gouge.
You know, something else to note. You know, I'm just jumping on top of this Peekaboo train. There was a moment there where they actually put Vincent Wong in the blind, and Peekaboo was so confident that he was going to trinket it. He already started waddling his way over to Vincent Wong to put him into full kidney to follow it up on his trinket right away. And it's just like that game sense to be able to predict that sort of play coming out from your opponent is pretty impressive. And Temple Storm is looking so super strong here moving forward into that Group A bracket. And so up next, guys,